I'm just curious about how much technology affects the way we do things in terms of, I don't know, wireless communication, cell phones.
Everyone has a cell phone. Very
Phone.
few people have landlines. We did because we needed it for the fax machine. It didn't always work, though. Sometimes it would be out. The college where we were was getting wireless, but the whole push to send computers to Africa, I think a lot of people don't have electricity, and they can't afford internet service. Mm-hmm. So I think it's kind of a very American thing.
The reason I asked that is a former colleague went to a huge book fair. I think it was the International Book Fair, was in Zimbabwe several years ago, and they had internet access in these bookmobiles that was solar powered.
Huh.
And she was just so excited about how it was opening the door for people, because most people did not have electricity and weren't going to get it anytime soon.
And there are a lot of internet cafes in the cities. So as we traveled, we didn't take our laptops with us. We just felt it was one more thing to get lost. So we go to internet cafes and check our email. We spent a lot of time on our computers because we were always getting emails from over here, making arrangements with groups and funding things and all of that. But the typical African would not have access, And they text. Because texting is cheaper than calling, but using the phone as for internet is rare too. Because you don't have a phone plan, you buy minutes and what they call top-up. So, I used to kid, I said, we really aren't African because we always had minutes on our phone and gas in our tanks. Because I've seen people going on less than fumes sometimes in their cars.
Well, we saw the teenage boys who had no minutes and nobody to call, just saying, the network.
Well, it doesn't...
The network. And she practiced that they have nobody to call.
Oh, wow.
They're calling your mom. So they just want to have it,
Mm-hmm.
They might get some money, maybe, to top it up, but not most days.
Or you can still call out, and if you have a few minutes, and hang up right away, and that's called flashing, so that the person who receives the call is supposed to call you back on their minutes. Because it doesn't you don't have minutes used up when you receive a call. It's only when you make. One of the critical problems, and not just Africa, but the developing world, is a shortage of pastors. I talk about the growth of the church, but they can't train pastors fast enough to staff these churches. Where we lived on a small theological college campus, we were involved in a scholarship program for a number of students. For $5,000 a year, you can send a student to college, to theological college, pay for half of his or her living expenses, or food expenses, a place to live, book allowance, travel allowance. So we're talking $20,000 for 4 years.
That's it.
That's it. And, making that kind of commitment is such an important part of the church growth. Because we can do projects all over, but unless you've got somebody on the ground monitoring, nothing's going to happen. So that is a tremendous need all over.
What language?
English is the official language of Zambia, so everything was taught in English. There are 72 tribes in Zambia, and there are 72 dialects. I believe you said Becca learned Bemba. We learned Chichewa, which is also the language of primary language of Malawi. Like there are 2 primary languages there. Shona is the language of Zimbabwe. Yeah.
And is a job as a pastor held in high esteem?
Yes. They're not paid much, if anything.
Well, okay, so that was my other question. Is there do people want to do that? Do you want to go into that?
Yes.
You have enough people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just scholarships. Because no one can pay for their education. You just don't have that kind of money. This is a $1 a day, $2 a day place, that you live on. Zambia is, last week I figured it out, it's in the bottom 15 or 20 of the human development ranking by UN. So I think there's like 177 countries, and they're like 165 or something like that.
How is that judged?
It's education, life expectancy, standard of living, all kinds of stuff like that that goes into it. Life expectancy is about 37, 38 years old. Healthcare is very difficult there. You really don't want to get sick there. Our language teacher died soon after we came back. She had colon cancer. They kept treating it for all kinds of stuff because they have sonograms, they have basic blood tests. There's no CAT scans, there's no colonoscopies, and this was in the capital city. They have wonderful cancer pavilion, but you have to be diagnosed soon enough to be treated. And by the time they discovered she had it, it was stage 4.